The Cheating Death podcast is a satirical program containing objective information about anything and everything under the sun. We are not political, we are not religious, we are merely analytical and perhaps a bit prodigious. However, you have made the decision at this particular juncture to tune in to the program in which will provide you with the most direct insight and opportunity into the mind, for you are listening to the Cheating Death podcast. On today's episode of the Cheating Death podcast, we provide you with some insight into the differences between the organizations known as Freemasonry, the secret societies in which are dwelling within our very own confines of space in society itself, and how not malevolent they actually are, the different sects and how exactly they came to be. And of course, we provide you with an all-new top 5 list of the big soda brands of our favorite current levels of this program. We provide you with an all-new Annihilation Announcement and joke of the episode. And by now, dear listeners, you know exactly what to do. Grab yourself a nice coffee, put your feet up, and let us tell you how you can cheat death. This is your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this is your Annihilation Announcement. Over the years and through the tears and dispelling your fears, there is nothing more clear than the reality that we all face a different type of calamity each and every single day of our existence. Some people who dwell upon the planet make a concerted effort to make life more difficult for those in whom are just trying to live their lives. And of course, in other situations and circumstances, we find ourselves challenging our very ideologies on a daily basis. How and why do people come to be who they are? What types of environmental surroundings give people an opportunity to see themselves from the perspective that is required in order to obtain the most information that is of relevance? These systems and these rules that we have in place in society only work if the majority follow them. If you are a grown adult, and if you are incapable of cleaning up after yourself, then you have a lot of work to do as a human being. If you are an individual in whom is capable of identifying specific points of contention within the demographic in which you dwell, and you have the capability to do something about it without it burdening or impacting you in a negative manner, then you, dear soul, have a lot of work to do as a human being. If you look around you and you understand and realize that one of the reasons why you are the way you are is because of apathy, lethargy, excuse-making, and doing everything that you can to avoid taking responsibility for anything, then you are a pariah. You are an individual in whom makes a decision that will lead directly to the detriment of others, and you have no problem doing so. Why? Because of lethargy and apathy, two of the absolute most destructive demons in the denizens of dereliction that the humans do not fully understand or choose not to idealize until it hits them in the face, and until they realize that every single element and every single fixture of their particular personality is based and conducive upon the grounds of avarice and self-disdain. When we focus and when we move forward towards a brighter tomorrow, the goal and the hope is to provide those in whom are looking for answers an opportunity to grow and thrive and change and learn. But when there is a cog in the wheel that is no longer functioning correctly, when there is a shift in the gears that leads to a permanence of difference opinion, we do not have much of an option outside of that of communication, and if all else fails, then we are at the mercies and we are at the whims of the legal system. Are we allowed to bury that person in the ground alive? Absolutely not. Are we allowed to inflict physiological suffering upon the individual or entity in whom refuses to acknowledge the plights of others and instead selfishly and avariciously lives their lives like an absolute leviathan of lamentation and of lethargy? No. We look at things from a different perspective for a different reason. But when humans realize that there is a problem and they still refuse to fix them, and all they do is continue to make excuses, they just continue to wallow in self-pity, bacteria, the absolute disgusting grossness and decay that one can fall into, it is completely fine if you choose to do that yourself. If you choose to inflict that harm and that negativity upon your own life, but the moment you start to impact other people with your avarice and with your laziness, is a potential opportunity for you to not have an absolutely fantastic afterlife. In fact, it is a clear recipe to finding yourself at the burdensome door of Baphomet. The balance has been put so far into the opposite direction that you will not be capable of explaining your way out of it, utilizing your attempted psychotic explanation at why you must be an evil person. But, dear listener, this is only mere one perspective into the dichotomy that is life. But as we move forward, all we must do is do the best that we can for those around us, for there is no way out, and we must do what we can to survive as long as we can. This is your news anchor, the Cleric of Chaos, and this has been your Annihilation Announcement. Willkommen, meine Freunde. Guten Morgen, guten Tag und eine gute Nacht. Ist deine Reisende und deine Ausländer, deine Allesfresser, deine Künstler und deine Schauspieler, meine Freunde, und ich bin bereit, das gemacht ist. Heute ist ein schöner Tag. Understand today, dear listeners, we are here to discuss the proverbial secret society of Freemasonry. Yes, you may have seen their logo in and around certain niche interests of the compass and the L ruler, as some would call it, but they are the square and compasses in which encompass the overall bodily design of the Freemasons, and a lot of individuals assume that they are a malevolent and or evil organization when nothing more could be further from the truth. If you consider the Freemasons to be evil, then you may as well consider every university fraternity, every university sorority to be evil fraternal and sisternal organizations as well, because it follows the exact same principle. The only difference is that these individuals, the Freemasons, the medieval guilds, or the stonemasons, whether it be women's Freemasonry, continental-style Freemasonry, or any which in between, They are merely fraternal organizations, and nothing more than individuals in whom are trying their best to acquire new members who understand what it is to be benevolent and to be blissful in life through sharing the means of the organization and its values within. Understand, dear listener, that through the years, the origins of Freemasonry date all the way back to the 1500s. And when we understand exactly just how important that is, we know exactly what it is to be seen as when one takes into consideration that the 1300s were the original origin of the beginnings of the secret organization, but not formalized until the late 14th century. There were several traditions and several involvements that were categorized as being a Freemason. Now, to identify specifically what constitutes this particular group, we have the ideology of reading of Masonic papers, researching particular topics, philosophical discussions, we have the conference, and we have the performance element of the overall program as well. Note, dear listener, that if you have an opportunity to see a Masonic lodge around you, there may or may not be any windows. There may or may not be a group of individuals heading into the facility with no conversation before going in. Of course, throughout the years, there has been a litany of criticism as it pertains to the ideologies from those in whom do not understand. There are some conspiracies in which are deeply rooted to that of anti-Semitism, racism, or sociological exclusion, but it is to be noted, dear listeners, that the host of this program is indeed tied in blood to the Freemason organization. So even though the information that I am providing is objective and direct and transparent, you need to know that there would be absolutely no way this host would be a part of an organization that in any way would be in any way, shape, or form evil. Because note, over the course of time, there are several opportunities, barriers, and obstacles in which you must go through. The Masonic bodies and the Masonic rites go through quite a different litany of examples. There are craft lodges in Europe, and there are blue lodges in most parts of Europe, though they mean the same thing. The historical Grand Lodge of the Orient de la France, for example, is one of the most lucrative and one of the most active parts of the European Freemason sector. And of course, the Nordic countries as well have their own particular sects of Freemasonry, the Swedish Rite being most dominant, which also takes part in my home country of Deutschland. So when we take into account exactly what is required to be a Freemason, you must be free of mind, you must believe in some type of deity. There are approximately 6 million members worldwide, and you must also be of sound mind, sound body, and be able to attune and to attest to the values and into the intricacies in which the Masons provide. Understand that if you are in North America, there are approximately 106 Grand Lodges, though this information may or may not be categorized and or counting the pseudo Grand Lodges, in which are ultimately just regular lodges that also serve as emergency Grand Lodges as well. Note that the United Grand Lodge of England within the provincial Grand Lodges is contested to have at least 175,000 members. There is a sect in my home city of Leipzig, Germany that has approximately 3,000 members. Most lodges are places where people can gather and congregate. learn about each other, engage in social activity, and do what they can in order to identify specifically what they can do to better their community. And as of recently, there have also finally been allowable opportunities for women to start and to become Freemasons as well, otherwise known as co-Freemasonry. This also falls within the honorable fraternity of ancient Masons that do accept both men and women. For example, le droit de fraternité des anciens Masons is a classic example as one that has always accepted men and women in Europe and serves France quite well. Regardless of which path you choose, whether it be the York Rite or whether it be the Swedish Rite, or whether it be just the standard derivation of the general aspect of the European origin of Freemasonry itself. If you are curious about becoming a Freemason, by all means, locate the closest Masonic lodge to you, reach out to individuals in whom are Freemasons, and see what you can do to become a member of the organization. Because, dear listeners, there's absolutely nothing better in life than being able to do what you can to explore all avenues in all places, and being yourself while also doing the best you can to help the earth in any way possible. Thank you for tuning in today, and until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. At the top of today's program, we promised you yet another top 5 list, so dear listeners, what we are going to do today is provide you with a list into the top 5 soda brands of this particular program. Coming in at number 5, we of course have Pepsi Vanilla. Coming in at number 4, we have Coca-Cola. Coming in at number 3, we have Fanta Orange. Coming in at number 2, we have Blueberry Fanta, and coming in at number 1, we have Pepsi Blue. What are your top 5 favorite soda brands? Let us know at thecheatingdeathpodcast@gmail.com. Today's joke is brought to you by the Cleric of Chaos. Did you know that there is a very easy way to release an overweight demon from your loved one? 'Tis simple. All you must do is tell it to exorcise. The very notion that the Freemasons have reached the level of conspiracy that they have is nothing more than sheer distraction, dear listeners. Understand that whether it be the left or the York Rite of each sect of Freemasonry, the 33rd degree is not that of which anyone knows of any firm information provided to each and every single member. It is treated as an on a need-to-know basis, and therefore, unless you know an individual in whom is a 33rd degree Freemason, the odds of you actually being able to achieve acquiring that information is very slim and narrow in possibility. Give yourself an opportunity to see just exactly what Freemasonry can do for you if you are a man or a woman looking to join the specific sects of Freemasonry itself. There are clubs only for men, and there are clubs only for women. For the first 100 several times, we were told that there were no opportunities for individuals and or entities to provide themselves with an opportunity to see exactly which clubs were fitting for them. For the longest time, the only types of individuals in whom were allowed to join Freemasonry were men. There were no clubs for women up until the late 20th century and the early 21st century. So, dear listeners, give yourselves a chance to look into the specifics of the organization itself and understand that it is nothing more than a social group, a gathering of like-minded individuals, people in whom wish to do nothing more than provide charitable opportunities and actions to their communities and giving to those less fortunate, while also building and honing their craft of masonry. There has been a lot of conspiracy and a lot of situational compliance with the rhetoric that has gotten out of hand as it pertains to the overall missions of what the Freemasons are. And speaking to you as an individual in whose blood is directly tied to the organization, we can assure you directly, without breaking any of the rules, that we do not stand for anything malevolent or evil on this planet, on this terrain. The only individuals in whom wish so shall choose to identify that specifically are those in whom have points of contention within the organization or within the acts that it participates in or engages upon itself. There is no easy answer for you to locate that would identify specifically exactly what type of information you are looking for when it comes to the conspiracy-laden beliefs that hold individuals responsible for hating on the Freemasons. But all you must do is look towards the sky. Understand that the goals that they possess are nothing more than the differences between the charitable contributions and the community involvement that each and every single person has to a certain degree. Whether you are a sector of the industry and you are looking to join the Freemasons, find someone in whom is a Freemason, and they may be able to provide you with a reference, as that is one of the only ways in which to achieve membership. We are very privileged and fortunate in our life to have had the opportunity to specifically identify and assimilate within said ideologies and within said group, but that does not mean that you are not capable of doing so yourself. If this is something that you seek, do what you can, research the opportunities and attend meetings, figure out for yourself exactly what the organization has to offer. Until next time, dear listeners, thank you for tuning in today. Take care of yourselves and each other. The Cheating Death Podcast is brought to you by Nachtem Lieben CRDVC, Cleric of Chaos, somewhere you find all podcasts on all platforms. If you'd like to support the program, you may do so by purchasing merchandise, buying a cameo, buying us a coffee, or much, much more in the links in the episodes and podcast description. Please follow and support all social media of the program at all the links in the episodes in the podcast description. Follow each of our friends, associate producers, directors, and consultants of the program. Of course, these are simply customary in title, and they are not actual roles, but please follow each and every single one of them at all the links in the pinned profile post, as well as in the episodes and in the podcast description as well. If you or anyone you know is experiencing any gambling, abuse, or substance withdrawal, or any sort of psychiatric duress, or any emergency calamity, consult the telephone numbers listed in the episodes and in the podcast description. If you or anyone you know is looking at adopting a playful puppy or a cute kitten, please visit your local animal adoption rescue center, as they are in dire need of your support. Visit yummypets.com/voice, sign up for a free account, and click the button every day to give pets an opportunity to have 330 pounds of free kibble provided to them at no cost to you. If you or anyone is facing a severe tragedy or any turmoil of any kind, dear listener, understand that there is absolutely nothing that can stop you from achieving your potential. The world is an evil place, and it will crush you if you let it. But don't worry, we're pulling for you. We're all in this together.